All right, a question about the activity of Jesus during his earthly ministry. It says, how much of their time did the disciples spend with Jesus during his public ministry? There does not seem to be 3 years worth of day in and day out events recorded. Did they continue their former jobs seasonally? Did they rotate 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, oil field style, for example? Were they all married? And is there evidence of their children or dependents that traveled with Jesus? So there's not as much information, at least that I'm aware of, as we'd like to have for this question. In terms of the biblical evidence, there's only one person we're certain was married, and that is Peter, because Peter in Capernaum, you'll remember the story, his mother-in-law falls sick, and so presumably, of course, he's married if he has a mother-in-law. That's the only disciple we know for sure was married. The marital status of the others is uncertain, even in in church traditions. We don't have any commentary on whether they were married or unmarried. Now, presumably, they did leave their professions and follow Jesus full time because they left their nets. Right? Matthew, as a tax collector, left what he was doing, and so presumably that is what they did. And being a student of a rabbi like Jesus in that culture, in that time, that would have been kind of the idea, is that you leave, you might do little small jobs here and there as you go to make money for your little gaggle of students, but the primary thing was to learn from the teacher, to travel with the teacher, to do ministry with the teacher. And so that almost certainly was the case, that 80%, 90% of their time was with Jesus. And it makes sense. If you follow Jesus's geographical journey, I mean, he's going from Jerusalem to the area of Galilee, into the area of the Decapolis, up into Syria, back down into the area of Perea. I mean, just the sheer volume of travel in that short period of time would require an absolute commitment, honestly. And the length of Jesus' ministry is an interesting question. I'm actually doing some study right now for my dissertation on this issue, and there's disagreement about the exact length of Jesus' ministry. 3.5 years is certainly the traditional length, but there's arguments for a 1.5 year ministry, a 2 year ministry, and even a 4 year ministry of Jesus. And so, the length of, yes, it's not kind of day to day laid out like that, but man, if you compress that time period down to a 1.5 year ministry, boy, that almost does become a blow by blow recount of the events of Jesus's life and ministry. So yeah, we don't have as much detail there as we'd like, and we don't have all our questions answered. What did Peter do? How did he relate with his wife while he was gone on these journeys? Did he have kids? Did he have to leave them behind? We don't have all that detail, but certainly what we are required to have is there, and we'll find out more when we meet these people one day in glory.